Gidiacono, 3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship. The national champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer. Jim's a really chicken. I thought it was good live, but how about those onions? A counter, double orders. The lob, and that will do it. Do you believe it? For just the second time ever, a 16 beats a 1.
Welcome everybody, welcome to the VolsCast. March Madness is officially upon us. And today, in today's episode, we're just going to be discussing bracketology and possible scenarios and essentially just March Madness. So, for Tennessee fans, we're just going to go and start off with this. If you think that Tennessee's going to make the championship, it's probably going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. Go ahead and take those orange goggles off. Because I'd say, if you haven't already made your bracket, I have. I've made multiple, over 30. Tennessee's probably going to at least make it to Elite 8, lose to Houston. Those are my opening thoughts for you.
Listen, man, I don't know what's going to happen. I know that we've been let down year after year after year. I wouldn't say last year was a letdown. I feel like last year we met expectations. Like, no, we had the phantom Zach Edey that would never get a foul called on him, but you know, everything, he got his way with officials. You know, you look at that one individual stood between us and a Final Four.
Oh yeah,
The goals of Final Four. I think that the team, a lot of times in life when you're least expected to do something, that's when it happens. And I look back and I think about South Carolina years and years ago under Frank Martin, went to the Final Four, and that was a team that, dude, they were okay in the season. They absolutely dominated the NCAA tournament, and it just about when people use the term getting hot, I think the word getting hot is about not only just making shots, but it's just like you don't have the give up. You have the belief factor of we're gonna make it no matter what. So I think that Tennessee's playing really good basketball right now. You know, we can go ahead and talk about the SEC tournament real quick. I thought we made a good run. You know, you win 2 games, you win a big game against Auburn, you get revenge against them, and you lose to probably the hottest team in college basketball right now, which is the Florida Gators, with some questionable calls. We'll leave it at that, and foul trouble. So I thought we played great. We weathered the storm. We showed a lot of resilience. I think we're pretty healthy right now. I think a lot of the sickness has finally left the team. So it's time. It's go time tomorrow, right? 6:40.
Oh, yeah. 6:40.
Eastern time.
6:50.
They changed it now. It's 6:50.
Well, I think it's 6:50 our time. So I think it's 7:50.
It'd be the same, but
yeah,
I don't understand why they can't have a game that starts at 6:30 or 7 o'clock. It's got to be like 6:56.
But did you want to just go through the Tennessee's region, or did you want to go through a quick breakdown of?
Yeah, let's go ahead and tell the people about the region. I'll let you do the being the moderator here and letting you go through. Right. And
so for each region, I think it's the Midwest. Tennessee is in Houston's number 1. Obviously, you got the number 1 overall. It's just Auburn, the South region, and in the West region you got Florida, and the East you got Duke for your number 1 seeds. And Tennessee, we're just gonna focus on the Midwest region. I think that's what it is. If I got that right.
Yeah.
They play Wofford first round, and if they win that game, they play either UCLA or Utah State, which you're most likely going to win those games. You're going to play either Kentucky, Troy, Illinois, and Xavier and Texas are playing right now. So one of those teams you're going to play. Also in the region, you got Purdue, Clemson, and Houston, which as I mentioned, and Georgia.
Hold on. Say, Purdue. Who's the top 8 teams? Yeah, Houston,
Tennessee.
No. I mean, like, we're at the bottom. I'm talking about like we're on this side. Who's in the top 8?
Houston, SIU, Edwardsville, Gonzaga, Georgia, Clemson, McNeese, Purdue, and High Point.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Tennessee should absolutely take care of business, but I'm gonna let you know right now. Wofford has an individual that shoots his free throws granny style. Man, I'm not kidding when I say that. Get ready. He's a big man, and that's how he shoots his free throws, and he's actually pretty efficient. So we'll see that come tomorrow night. I think personally, Utah State and UCLA don't. I think UCLA wins that game. I could be wrong. I think UCLA doesn't pose so many issues or problems. However, I do think that Tennessee has a hard time playing down to competition. Let's go back to the last home game of the regular season against South Carolina. South Carolina comes into conference play, winning 2 ball games, and Tennessee trails at the half. Or no, I'll take that back. We did trail at the half, pretty sure.
Against South Carolina?
Wow, yeah, we trailed by what, 1, 2, 3?
It was tied at 34 at halftime.
Okay. Still awful. I mean, you got to drill South Carolina by 25 points.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you're gonna my worry for these games is if you play down to your opponent, meaning that you're more physical than them, you're more athletic, you're a better defensive team, which Tennessee is better than every team in our region at defense other than Houston. You play down to that, you cannot expect to, hey guys, there's 5 minutes left, let's just go win the ball game. It doesn't work that way in March. And let's just go ahead and say this. I've said it multiple times. If someone misses a game-winning shot or a free throw at the end, it is not comes down to that one play. It's came down to every play throughout the game. And I hate when people are like, if he'd just made a free throw, we'd won the game. I think we had that conversation when Lanier misses his free throw at Vanderbilt. It made me mad when people were saying that. Yeah, he was in the spotlight, but no one saw someone missing the box outs. No one saw letting their hips get open up on defense and getting blown by. No one saw those things because it's about who scores the points. And so that right there is the key is locking in for 40 minutes and winning the game. Moving on to, I think Tennessee does make the second weekend. Okay. I think the Sweet 16 is not expectations. I think this team's expectations is be back in the Elite Eight. I think most of everybody thinks it's going to be Houston. I tell you what, I would kind of worry about if they can get hot again as a team like Illinois. I think Illinois is a team that could upset Houston and move on. Tennessee on our side. So after Utah State and UCLA, who's the other 4 teams? Kentucky, Troy.
Kentucky's playing Troy.
And then who's the other 2?
In our region or their region?
Our side of the region.
Or
our side of the bracket. Let me say that the bottom 8.
And you said who? You said Kentucky, Troy, us, Illinois, and whoever they play.
Okay. Illinois plays. Who is it?
Texas or Xavier.
Yeah, Texas is spanking Xavier right now as we speak. Texas could easily beat Illinois. I don't know. Texas, and that's the thing about it. Let's think back to when Conzo Martin was at Tennessee. You had Jarnell Stokes, Jerron Naaman. This is before you got into basketball. This is golly, you were little when I'm telling the story. But you had all these teams. Seth didn't even think about basketball, and Tennessee plays. I think it was Iowa in the playing game. That year they made the playing game. This was one of the first years they done. Then it was 68 teams. There's two playing games. We were one of the two playing games. We went on to go to the Sweet 16, and we're playing Michigan. And Tennessee is down by, I think at the time, 1 or 2 points. It's a one possession game. And Jarnell Stokes, who was a early enrolled freshman, he enrolled. I think he just turned 18. He wore I think it was size 20 shoes. He was a 6'8", well-crafted big man. Just came in from Memphis High School and was a stud. And he had the ball on the baseline and did a drop step, and they called an offensive foul, and Tennessee ends up losing the basketball game. That we had one of the most athletic basketball players to ever suit up for Tennessee, in my opinion, was Jordan McRae. Dude could go off. Josh Richardson, who he's in the league. We had a lot of dudes on that team that was just sneaky good. And so my point is, Tennessee goes in the playing game, as in Xavier, as in Texas, and as in some of these other teams, and dude, they end up going to the Sweet 16, meaning that they won 3 whole basketball games in the span. They won 3 games in one weekend. Like, think about that. You win 3 games in a matter of 4 days. That's impressive. So, yeah, you're tired, but then you get a whole week off, or at least another 5 days off to prepare for your next opponent or possible opponents. So I think Texas, I mean, like right now, they might freaking go to the Final Four. But we're just talking hypotheticals, and like, I know anybody can get on here and say all this stuff, but it's just one of those things where I think that, personally speaking, I think that Tennessee will advance to the Elite Eight. Last thing I want to say that I had on my mind, and I'll let you take over what your thoughts are, is the last time that Kentucky was in the tournament, okay? Let me say this. Let me back up. The last time that Kentucky was a number 3 seed, okay? The last 2 times that Kentucky was a number 3 seed, all right? They lost to a team called St. Peter's and to a team called Oakland. And they're a 3 seed again. And now a team that's nearby your house, named Troy, just a short distance down the road, is coming in to play the mighty Wildcats of Kentucky. And listen, they have the bragging rights over the Vols. They swept us this year. I'm going to say this. I was not impressed at all by Kentucky this year. And I know you're like, well, I mean, you should be impressed with Tennessee. The Vols didn't show up either day. However, I think that a team that's designed like Troy, these teams that go in there, they have nothing to lose whatsoever. And no one does, but they really don't. I mean, they're going to shoot the shots and jack up threes like nobody's business. I'm not saying Kentucky should lose, but my gosh, if I'm a Kentucky fan, knowing the history of being a 3 seed, I'm very nervous. And I'm like Seth, and my hands are very sweaty.
Yeah, touching on a few points about just what it all comes down to, and talk about Kentucky for a little bit. We talked about it, I think it was 2 weeks ago, talking about how Tennessee needs to leave no margin for error, and I think that's probably what it came down to in the SEC tournament against Florida. You have guys getting foul trouble. You miss free throws that obviously not like you should have made, but like if you made those, it would have made the game a lot more closer. I think.
Oh yeah.
You missed like 10 plus free throws, and you end up losing the game by, was it 12?
I think we ended up losing. I think we ended up losing by 9 was the final score. The difference.
So
was
if you have the Tennessee team that beat Auburn and you put them on the court against Florida, that same Tennessee team making all the free throws, they win that ball game, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you look at that Auburn game, and it was Auburn's inability at times to just simply stay in front of the basketball, meaning that when Tennessee runs, as they call it, the floppy action, and you'll see it with the down screens and the flares and just a lot of different movements. If you watch our guards, our two shooting guards, if it's Gainey and Lanier or whoever it may be, even if Meshack, whoever it may be that's running the plays, the big men are sitting. They're kind of doing just some down screens, some cross screens, stuff like that. But man, our guards, I feel like our guards run 10 miles per possession. Like they're running like crazy. And the reason that Auburn fouled so much was they couldn't keep up. They couldn't stay in front of the basketball. And I'm speaking defensively. I'm not saying they didn't foul, like going over the back, stuff like that. But I think they're much bigger than Tennessee. I mean, we got 1 7-footer to their 3 7-footers. And I know size and height don't mean everything, but I mean that helps being 7 foot. I mean, if you're a sound big man in the NCAA tournament, or especially in the SEC, you're going to be able to get X amount of rebounds, and you should be able to score this amount of points. You would think, and maybe get this amount of blocks. But I think that's where Tennessee was exposed, was with foul trouble, like you said, and we talked about it on the last show. I remember we were discussing we can't get in foul trouble. You mentioned the free throws, and both things come to haunt us. Now, were some of those self-inflicted? Yes. Were some of those brought on by poor officiating? Yes. And I'm not saying Tennessee lost the game by officiating. I'm not saying that at all. We lost the game fair and square. But I am saying that I think that Tennessee was kind of got some calls that were very, I said earlier, questionable. And when you go in the NCAA tournament, you got to have that you just got to snap and clear your mind every possession, because you're going to get some bullcrap calls. You should have some very good officials. As far as from here on out, we shouldn't have any. They're going to go to the monitor a lot. They're going to make sure everything is right, because it's the difference between someone going home and someone advancing. And so the theme that we got to remember is the theme that's been said since the NCAA tournament was established, and that is survive and advance. It doesn't matter if we beat Wofford by 1 point and we were favored to win by 18.5. I don't care.
Gotta win.
Just win. No one at this point. No one's gonna move us up in the rankings. The rankings are now dead, and it's something that me and you text about every week. Me and you and Barkley, we're always texting, and we're saying we care about the rankings. We do, but at the end of the day, how many times were we number one with Grant and Admiral, and the best rankings was the Sweet 16 at the end of their career. That's all that they could say. And so, last year with DK, we get to the Elite Eight. So if we can take another step and get to the Final Four, it's your first ever. And the Final Four is not the national championship, no, but it's something to celebrate. And I think that if Tennessee gets a matchup with Houston, I think the final score could be literally no more than, I think 40-45 would be like the final score. I don't think no one's scoring 50 points in the Houston-Tennessee game unless someone like Chaz Lanier goes for 25 and, Ziegler goes for 15. We'll get to 50 or 60 then. But, dude, that Houston-Tennessee game, if we could get that matchup, would be, I think, probably the best matchup of any Elite Eight bracket. I don't know. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, and going back to what you touched on, we touched on what you said about Kentucky and their history being a 3 seed. Both teams have their guy. You have trying to think, Jack Golke from Oakland, and I can't remember the guy from St. Peter's, but I know what he looks like. I can't put a face with a name.
The mustache.
But, yeah, and I looked up just Troy University basketball star, and this was posted from Troy University. This may be important. They may be a breakout player to play tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Tayton Connerway was named Sun Belt Player of the Year, and that was posted on Troy University on their website. So that might be their guy to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, if it's their Player of the Year, then It for sure is their dude, no doubt. I think that you when you're scouting in basketball, and I can't speak in the college ranks by no means, but when you're scouting for basketball, you at this level you're breaking down tendencies, you're breaking down literally their go-to, not only tendencies but their go-to move. When their ball's in their hand, they're gonna set you up right, crossover left, step back, like whatever, like what is their move, and you're literally getting that in your defender's head, like, hey, uh, Ziegler, you're guarding this guy, and this is your guy all game long. I don't care. I don't care what. I don't care if you're on one leg. You're guarding this guy, and that the coaches, when it comes to this time, I mean, they're trying to scout in anything that they can pick up to that would be a giveaway or a help on defense. But when you go someone like Troy, you know, Kentucky, it's easy for them saying, well, we're Kentucky. And I'm not saying that their staff's doing this, but Calipari did this. We're Kentucky. We're moving on. No one cares about your name. No one cares about your seed. No one cares about your season. It's literally that you play the game for a reason. So I think Troy is a team that I've not honestly watched. I've seen them on a couple times, maybe watched 10 minutes of them all year. Um, but I do know that they're obviously in the tournament. I'm assuming that they won their conference, and that's how they got the automatic bid. So anybody that's won their conference, in my opinion, is worthy of moving on. I mean, it don't matter if you're playing in a little league conference and you're a little league team and you win your conference. That's still something to brag about. You're still the best in that conference. So, um, I just think that that's an upset. And then, I mean, if you want to, we could talk about potential and not spend a lot of time on it. But I have other upsets in mind that are outside of the Midwest region.
Oh yeah, for sure, I did too. You can go ahead and talk about the.
Go ahead and list some of yours. Go ahead and list some of yours. I feel like
All right.
I've ate up a lot of time.
Oh, you're good. First round. This is just I got. Let's see if I can find it. So I've made multiple brackets. I'm sure everybody has, but some of them I probably have. You could probably put Yale beating Texas A&M. That could be another one. If you get the Louisville Creighton versus Auburn, both of those teams could beat Auburn. Drake could beat Missouri, and Omaha. I haven't watched a single Omaha game, but you might could see an Omaha, Kansas, or Arkansas game if they beat St. John's. Or you could have Arkansas beat Kansas because Boogie Fland. I think he's going to be back from the tournament, so that give them a big boost.
Arkansas, I agree with wholeheartedly. I have St. John's getting to the Elite Eight. I've made one bracket so far. I typically like to make just one. Obviously, I find that one, and Tennessee. It's so easy to me, like, God, Tennessee to the national championship. I think that we generally do get to the Elite Eight. It's just what happens from there. So I've honestly not submitted mine yet because I wanted to wait and see does Texas or Xavier win. So you have till tomorrow, before it starts to submit yours.
It's 11 o'clock a.m. tomorrow.
So that's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm sitting here. I'm like, all right, what can I? I'm sitting here like, what can I do? What can I do? I really like the Drake upset over Missouri. I like what you said. That's one that Drake is hot. Drake also has a dude. Like we were talking about a star. They got. I don't know his name. I'm going to be completely honest, but the dude can light it up. He can fill it up. Is if Missouri happens to be off shooting from three, I think that Drake is right there with them. I also think that let's see here. I'm looking. I think VCU can upset BYU. I think that was another 11-6 matchup.
I thought about putting that for one of my brackets, but I was just like, yeah, that's just an iffy one.
Yeah, Shaka Smart. Yeah, he used to be there at VCU. I always think of Shaka when I think of VCU. He was the one that's how he, VCU was, was I want the staple's not the word. VCU was a very respectful program when Shaka Smart was there, and I think that now now that um, they're back in in the tournament. I think they've been in and out, but that's another one. I'm thinking of there was one more that I had. I don't have it right in front of me. Um, I'm trying to think.
Why do you think I'm going to say so? So, in one of my brackets on an ESPN tournament challenge, I had Drake going all the way to the Final Four to play Michigan, and BYU playing Houston in the Final Four, and it ended up being BYU and Michigan in the championship, and Michigan winning it all.
Well, hey, that's another one. Is Michigan and UC Irvine? What's the seeding for Michigan? What are they?
They're a 5 seed.
And Irvine's a 12.
I think they're 12 or 13.
Yeah, it's usually 12-5 matchup. Um, yeah, I don't see that being really. I don't know. I think that Michigan opened up as only a 2.5 point favorite in that. Oh, Vanderbilt St. Mary's 10-7. I got Vandy over St. Mary's. Give me the Commodores.
Oh
I
yeah.
think I was impressed with Vanderbilt this year. I was so impressed. They were. I mean, they beat us at Vandy with the last minute. Then they about beat us at home. I think Vanderbilt is a team that when you look at a team that you want to be in the Final Four, or let's say Final Four, let's a team that make it out of the first weekend, meaning that you make it to the Sweet 16. You want to look for who was consistent throughout the year. I never saw Vanderbilt, but maybe once or twice get beat by more than 15 in the SEC, and they were always consistent. They were in every ball game, even the ones they lost. And I like Vanderbilt making it out of the first weekend. I do. I love what they do, and I think that they're just a nitty. I mean, they just have so much grit about them, and I think that's what you got to have as a team. Like, you got to have grit. You got to win. Sometimes it's not pretty, but you got to win.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a team that will do that. I think that was the one I was thinking of, the 10-7 matchup.
Yeah. In some ways, I mean, St. Mary's. You wouldn't be. It's an upset, but it's not really an upset at the same time if you think about it, because Vanderbilt's the bigger school, and if they make it out of the first weekend, it's almost because their coach was a coach at James Madison last year. I think they beat Duke last year. I can't remember, but they went. I think they made it to the Sweet 16 last year. Whenever he was the coach at James Madison, they ended up. I know they beat Wisconsin last year, but
Yeah.
they I know they went pretty far in the tournament though. So it was Vanderbilt could be a sleeper to watch out for them, I think.
I agree. I agree with that. I don't know. I think that there's so much, and I think the tournament is a good cover up for the sad news out of Knoxville last night.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
I mean, we could talk about that briefly if you want to as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the loss to ETSU, it stung because it's ETSU, but ETSU, they do have a good ball program. I think they have someone on their team that leads in home runs. He's like top 3 in home runs individually, and they're like top 3 in the nation individually or nationwide for team home runs. But I looked at it this way because I'm going to the Alabama game Saturday. Just because if you lose to somebody, I'd rather it be ETSU than Alabama, just because I don't want to go up to Tuscaloosa and have my heart broken.
Well, and I was talking to Dad about that, and he was like, I said, we might need to lose this game, and
Yeah.
I say that as like I never want to lose a game, and he was like, no, you don't. He's like, they might lose 2 this weekend, and we're liable to. We're liable to. I think we might lose 1 in Bama this weekend. I think we'll win the series, but I think Friday's your best bet to win against anybody. You got Liam Doyle on the mound. I did see a post about AJ Russell. He's expected to be fully back by April, so
Good.
just in time to get midway through the SEC play, which is good. He's been throwing live bullpen. He's been back. I mean, he's pitched live innings and
He just
games.
hasn't been in the game.
He's pitched. I think 2 innings since he's
That's right.
been
He
back.
pitched. It was like at the beginning of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it shocked every social or every analyst, that was out there, including the national analysts. They were like, "Bro, AJ Russell is starting tonight. He's on the mound." I'm like, do what? And because it was said April's his return, and so for him to, and that's saying April's his return, meaning that he's going to be able to pitch again, not he's going to be starting again. So now April is when he's able to pitch 60 plus pitches.
Yeah.
And so I know with Ben Joyce, whenever he had Tommy John, it increased his speed on his fastball by 5 miles an hour, and it's common. It's very common that it does increase your fastball. But I mean that ETSU is a regional team. I think ETSU will play in a regional. They're probably going to be like a 3 in a regional, and they're going to give. They got a chance at making it to the Supers. They're a very, very good ball team, and I think that it was not a bad loss in terms of who you lost to. Everyone says, well, it's a smaller school. I agree, but listen, Vitello's out there throwing freshmen. He's out there throwing guys that are not seasoned, and ETSU's pitching a lot more experienced guys. Are they better? I'm not saying they're better, but they're more experienced, and that has a lot to do with it. And you're up 6-4 going in the top of the ninth. You just got to get 3 outs, and you couldn't do that. So you had your chance to win the game, and then you had your chance in extras to win the game, and you didn't. So it's part of it, but think they're going to be okay in Crimson Country this weekend.
Oh yeah. It's a funny thing about baseball. It's just you lose the games that you're supposed to win, but it's just because I remember last year whenever we lost our first game to Oklahoma, and my brother said,
I believe we lost to Tennessee Tech last year again as well, and the year before that we lost to them when Drew Gilbert and Jordan Beck was there when we played at Smokies,
and we used the wooden bats.
We lost to them like 3-2 or something like that. It was a low scoring game, and then last year we lost to them in the midweek game, and it's just winning every midweek game is hard to do, and I think the average baseball fan that just sees scores doesn't understand because like you normally don't have a. Last year we did, but we don't have a hey on Tuesday or if we play Wednesday on Tuesday we know that blah 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 is starting, but if you notice what Vitello will do on those midweek games is he'll do a new pitcher every inning. Sometimes he'll put 2 in even if they're winning, even if they're ahead by a lot, and even if they're losing because Vitello takes those midweek games as like he's there to win them.
But that's like an opportunity for their freshmen to get a time to play.
Well, just anybody, yeah. I mean, you don't have you put Antigua at shortstop. I mean, you do some different things.
Just kind of experiment,
which is
sort of.
Yeah, which is fine, but I think that they're gonna be just fine. It's funny. We started out 20-0. We just swept the number 7 team in the nation, and we turn around and we lose. And you get on Twitter and everyone's just like, "Oh my gosh!" It sounded just like Seth. We're awful. We suck. And I'm just like, did you just watch TV this past weekend, or were you hiding under a rock? So I think that the baseball's gonna be just fine. I honestly think we're gonna win back to Omaha, and we're gonna be a tough out to beat again for the Natty. I would tell you this: I would trade a baseball natty to get a basketball natty any day. Like if you told me like, hey, you're going to get pounced out in the first round of Omaha, but you're going to win a national championship in basketball, we're all going to say okay. Like we want that first one in basketball. Imagine going baseball, basketball, and then
football.
If it happened, I mean, I don't think we're there yet in football, but like it would be cool, man. It'd be cool.
I think
But
if touch on football real quick, I think the best. So you're non-seed this year in the playoff. You got Nico Spears last year. You got George McIntyre coming in, then you got Fajon Bannon in 2026 class coming in. I think your best shot, to win national title is either whenever GMAX developed or whenever Fajon Brandon is developed. Those are your best times to shoot for a championship.
yeah, I mean, I think your receiving core is very, very athletic this year, but inexperienced in some ways /
Oh yeah,
unproven. Not meaning that they haven't went in the big games and made big plays.
they don't know.
We
It's
know
kind
that
of a question mark.
We know that Mike
Some
Matthews
areas.
and Boo Carter could be the best two receivers in the SEC. Just those two. But I want to say there's a guy that is by the name of Braylon Stanley or Staley. Sorry, Braylon Staley. And dude, the guy is a stud. He was rated right with Mike Matthews coming out of high school. I mean, he was ranked below him, but this is at the time he was the number one receiver in the state of South Carolina. Last one that we got out of South Carolina that was number one receiver was named Jalen Hyatt. He was okay at best. He sucked. And I'm kidding. He was is unbelievable. And I think that Staley could be that guy this year that's just like he reminds me so much of Cedric Tillman. I mean, he's big, strong, physical, 6'3", 6'4", just a guy that's going to come back to the football, make a for sure catch, sure-handed guy. I think that's the guy that's people's just like, who's that? I mean, there's a lot of guys in my opinion that could be, breakout players for Tennessee, but I know football is still a little bit of ways. I know they're in spring practice. I'm actually going down next Friday and watching a practice. So that Sunday when we do another episode, hopefully we're still talking basketball. That'd be nice. Hopefully we're still talking basketball, and then I also can give you an update on what I saw with my own two eyes on Saturday at Tennessee's practice.
Oh yeah, for sure. So question marks for football. Lose a game in baseball, you're okay. Lose 9 games minimum, I say you're sitting pretty. Now, last thing before you go, who is your? I know we kind of talked about sleepers, but who is your best, like your favorite sleeper that you got going farther into March Madness? Like going farthest.
I'm gonna exit out real quick and look at my bracket real quick. Okay.
All right.
Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay. 1 second. Okay. The one that I have going the further that the sleeper is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm looking. I'm gonna go with. Can I give you two?
Yeah, I can get 2.
I'm gonna go with. When I say sleeper, I think that this team could get to the Sweet 16. I'm gonna go with McNeese State. Will Wade, former head coach at LSU, runs the program. Really, really good. I'm gonna go with McNeese State.
Wait, hold on, I'll pull it up. Who they play?
Clemson. Who is probably their
No, that would be the bucket buster right there. Their bracket buster. Bracket buster. Right there, because you got that Clemson and Purdue matchup, I think, in the round of 32, because they're right beside each other. I had Clemson winning because, if I'm being honest, I did not have McNeese winning that game in any of my brackets, so I pray that Clemson wins that game. And so,
well, All of your brackets could be busted in one game.
No, and that's something. And also in my other brackets, I had Ole Miss and Iowa State playing each other in most of my brackets. I'm sure, so they gotta hopefully win their games.
Chris Beard runs a good program too. There's so many possibilities out there for. I'll say this: I think that there'll be 2 double-digit seeds make. I won't say this. I think there will be 2 double-digit seeds that I think that will make the Sweet 16. I don't know where and I don't know who, but I'm gonna say out of the 16 teams, 2 of those will be double digits, and that could be Arkansas is a 10. I mean, we hear Arkansas, we know that's a good historic program. We know John Calipari. You're like, oh, okay, that's not but they're still double digit. Vanderbilt, I mean, that's another one. Vanderbilt would end up playing Alabama if Alabama wins their first round game in the round of 32. That would be sweet to see Vandy upset Bama. That would be perfect.
And who was your other one besides McNeese? Did you?
McNeese and I was going to say Vanderbilt.
Okay.
I think Vanderbilt will. I think Vanderbilt can easily. Alabama is the most beatable team in college basketball if they're not making shots. I just think they are.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know people disagree with me. Like, oh, there's no way. Like, and that's everybody. But if they're as many threes as they like to attempt, if they're not knocking down them at 25, let's say a 30% clip, I think Vanderbilt will be toe to toe with them the entire game. And I think that's my 2. Now, both of those 2 may go home first round. That's cool. They're supposed to, right? They're supposed to.
They're supposed to. That's what they say.
That's the fun thing about this is all these teams are supposed to, lose, but we know that that's not going to be the case. Some of these teams that's supposed to win will not be winning.
So I have Yale. I know I mentioned Yale got beating Texas A&M in the first round. I have Yale being that sleeper to watch out for in the Sweet 16. So I got 3 reasons. They lead the Ivy League in 3-point shooting, and they're dominant on the boards. They can get the rebounds, and they have the Ivy League's best scorer, the leading scorer on their team. His last name's Paladkis. I think I said that right. I probably butchered that, but he leads the Ivy League in points with 19.2 points a game. So
impressive.
And history may repeat itself. If you remember Princeton, I think it was 2 years ago. They beat. I think it was Arizona was a 3 seed. And they ended up beating them.
I think they were a 2 seed, 15-2. Yeah.
So
yeah, because I remember that was the year that Tennessee beat Duke.
Mm-hmm.
And we won our first round game, and I remember we were just when we saw Duke lose, and then we were just like, oh, everything's stacked up. We're gonna, and then we ended up losing in the Sweet 16. That was when we had Kamwa. That was when we were playing without Ziegler. He tore his ACL that year.
And that was also the same year when I'm not gonna say anything about Purdue. Something else. I don't know. But brackets locked tomorrow at 11 o'clock. First game, Creighton and Louisville. Make sure to pray for each other. Make sure y'all's brackets don't bust.
Hey, Louisville, by the way, are they an 8 seed?
They're an 8 seed.
Okay, let's back up. Louisville could be the team that makes it to the Final Four. They are hot right now. I'm gonna just say that.
And that's all. That's just. I was talking with a friend at church about teams that peak at the right time. Auburn, they peaked around in the end. Not, I won't say end of the regular season, but it was towards the end. Might have been the middle, but Florida, that's a team that you want to. If you had a team to pick that was peaking at the right time, they are peaking at the right time. You win the SEC tournament, you handle Missouri, you beat Alabama by 20 plus, you win the SEC, and you could be on your way to a Final Four easily. But that's what they say.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, this has been another episode of the VolsCast where touchdowns, threes, and homers are on the mic. Pray for each other's brackets. Stay safe. Go Vols.
Vols.